Hello, my name is Dr. Carl Candlepun, and in this special episode of My Lost Podcast, I host a post-screening discussion of Season 1, Episode 17, In Translation. This discussion features first-time viewers, and as such, does not feature any spoilers beyond that point in the show. However, if you have not seen at least to this point in the series, I highly recommend you do so first before proceeding with this podcast. But without further ado, let's begin. As with the past several first-time viewer discussions, we did end up pausing this episode where each of the commercial breaks would have been and discussing that previous section of episode. So this first bit of discussion comes after the teaser of the episode, in which we get our first Jin flashback where he meets with Sun's father, and on the island, him and Sun get in their confrontation on the beach, which Michael then inserts himself into, and Sun slaps him.
Ballsy move to hit the guy that knows your secret.
Do you agree with Michael getting involved?
No.
It did seem kind of weird he would insert himself like that.
Well, so I think it's when she falls down.
Right.
If he had actually been smacking her around, do you think Michael should have got involved?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you think she slammed him?
Because he got involved. Because that's probably a sign of disrespect for her not to do that.
It's probably also a good way to de-escalate without isolating him more.
Yeah.
Do you guys like Jin talking to the dad?
It was nice. What I was trying to remember was when that first episode flashback we got, was he aware of what her father's businesses are?
Well, so the thing that he's known, his business is an automotive business. That is well known. As far as whether or not the criminal side of things, it's not clear.
In this next section of episode, we have the flashback to Sun and Jin's wedding day, where Sun expresses sadness that Jin's father didn't live to be around for their wedding day. And then back on the island, the act ends with the raft on fire and everybody trying to put it out. There's that lingering shot on Locke, and then Michael's basically demanding from Sun where Jin is.
So, Jin burnt the raft.
Did he?
That's what Michael seems to believe. You guys aren't convinced?
The only reason it seems too obvious. And then there's that really long, lingering shot on Locke.
If anybody would do it just to do it, it would be Sawyer.
Yeah. Except he was willing to spend
He just
to
likes
get a spot on the raft.
He just likes to disrupt things. I think that it was, what's the kid's name?
The kid's name?
Yeah,
Walt.
I think it was Walt.
Why do you think it's Walt?
Because he probably mad at his dad about something and saw the raft on fire and lit on
They,
fire.
you're saying his powers did it.
That was my initial thought for some reason.
Yeah, I was going to say they seem to be on a good foot now. Their relationship seems to be better now from that one scene that we had.
So my bold prediction here is that Jin's dad's alive.
Why do you say that?
Because he has that in the first speech to her dad, and he's like, "Oh, what does your dad think?" And he pauses for a really long time before saying he's dead. And even in the flashback, she brought something about, "Oh, I bet your dad would have loved this," and there's that really long pause again, and
she's like, "I'm sorry, your dad didn't live to see this."
Yeah, or something like that, and he doesn't respond at all.
Yeah.
So it could be there. He was just really close to him, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Feels like a choice.
Yeah. I just want to circle back real quick. Just if Locke did burn the raft, why do you think he burnt the raft?
Probably something about keeping the island happy.
If he did it, would you need there to be some kind of justification?
No, Locke knows what's right.
It could also just be if he fears if they get out, then rescue will come.
Yeah.
In this section of episode, Sun goes to the caves and finds Jin with his hands burnt. She jumps to the conclusion that he set the raft on fire. Jin gets angry that she's concerned about Michael and not him. And then, so he runs off into the jungle. And the next morning, when he goes to the stream, Sawyer ambushes him. In the flashbacks, Jin is sent to deliver the message. And when he goes over to that house, the little girl is watching TV, and if you're paying attention, you can see Hurley is on the TV. The guy gives Jin the girl's puppy as a thank you for his mercy.
So Hurley was on the TV.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see if they caught it.
Did you see it?
What?
Hurley on the TV?
Mm-mm.
The daughter was watching TV, and on it, Hurley's like getting in a car, and then when it cuts back later, like he's driving, and the camera's it's like he's on a reality show of some kind.
Holds his hand up at the camera.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that's a new mystery. Is why is Hurley on the TV? Any theories?
I mean, he can't be like famous, because someone on the island would have recognized him, right? Unless he's famous in Korea.
Although,
but even then,
it would
Jin
seem
and Sun would have recognized
it would seem Jin and Sun didn't recognize
Yeah.
him either. Not that, I mean, Sun's the only one of them that speaks English, and she's not going to reveal herself to be like, oh, hey, I know you.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jin burnt the raft.
He burned himself trying to put it out.
I mean, it's just Sun, assumes that he burnt the raft. He seems pretty pissed that she's concerned about Michael. So you're still not sold that he burned it?
Not sold.
Okay. But more convinced, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm more convinced, but
True.
there's always a possibility.
It's only because now we're on episode 17. Like, I'm just always looking for Mr. X. So even now, I'm still not convinced. Sawyer's got a lot good at tracking in an episode, though.
Okay, no, so again, my uncle said the same thing. It was funny because there's actually a deleted scene that explains how he found him. There's a deleted scene right after he captured him where he's talking about how I figure you need to come out for water sooner or later, so I posted on the stream. And I think the reason that they wrote that into the script was specifically because the last episode established pretty well that Sawyer's not a good tracker. So yeah, it would be weird if he hadn't tracked him.
The puppy gift is a lot more morbid.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I'm glad you remembered that. You remembered that he gave her a puppy because he was working.
I was trying to recall what happened in all the previous parts of that first episode. I remember there was a puppy, and then he comes out one night and
when the puppy's older, when it's bigger,
when his hands, he's trying to wash the blood off him, and then so I'm trying to remember bits and pieces of that.
In this next part of the episode, we have Saeed tell Shannon that he thinks that she should set up her tent on her own because of what Boone said. Shannon then goes and storms off into the jungle and encounters Locke, who tells her that they all get a fresh start on this island. In the flashbacks, Jin is sent back to the secretary's house with the hitman, and he, of course, beats the guy in order to save his life. And then he returns home, and we see the scene that we saw before, where he's washing the blood off of his hands. And then back on the island, Sawyer brings Jin before everyone, and Michael starts beating Jin while Jin's trying to explain himself in Korean. And it goes to commercial right as Sun yells stop and says in English that he didn't burn the raft.
I was just waiting for her to blurt something out. So he's not the bad guy that we thought he was.
I don't know if you were expecting with it being his episode.
I was expecting a different perspective.
Yeah. Were you surprised?
I was surprised it was the same guy.
Yeah. Well, so last time I meant to ask about Saeed and Shannon and Boone.
I think they can all have fun together.
And nods.
There's Boone, he had his whole experience. He's like, okay, yeah, I should let go of this relationship and stuff. And so I go back and forth on like if him saying what he says to Saeed is like him not having let go and him just like trying to wreck that for her, or like is he genuinely looking out for Saeed because that is what he sees as her pattern of behavior.
I mean, I saw it as jealousy or maybe resentment.
Yeah.
But I was surprised kind of that Saeed sort of took the bait.
That's about how I felt about it.
You liked Locke's talk with her.
I always like Locke's talks.
Lock talks.
Locke hasn't done anything in this entire show that you've been like,
Not one single thing.
I like that we just have another episode where he basically shows up for one scene to be John Locke jungle therapist.
All right, but before we resume, I just want to circle back to where we left. Sun is now convinced that Jin did not do it. Why do you think that is?
Something he said to her right then.
So yeah, he's saying a bunch of stuff that's not subtitled.
And he's like repeating it too.
It drives me
There was
nuts.
a section of it that he repeated. What?
It drives me nuts that they don't do subtitles on what he says.
You want to know what he says?
Do I?
I translated it for the podcast. First time ever, because I've always kind of wondered. Trying to think if there's any spoiler reasons why I should wait.
But yeah, I sat there wondering how long is she going to listen to that or watch them beat the hell out of him
Kind of feels like he has it coming, right?
and pretend like she doesn't understand what they're saying. He's just sitting there
We got to keep in mind.
not knowing what the fuck they're saying.
We got to keep in mind from her perspective, if she does what she finally does, that's probably it for the relationship. So I mean, there's probably good reason why she's like hoping that they like come to their senses and knock it off. But yeah. Anyways, so the first thing he says on that beach is when you hear from his perspective how he doesn't understand what they're saying, and then he sees her, and he says something to her, and he says, "You don't believe me either." And they're like, "What? What did he say? What did he say?" And he says, "I didn't." He's still saying to Son, and then Michael's like, "Did you say something to me? You say something to me?" And then he repeats, "I didn't do it." And then Michael's like, "Say it again, say it again." Because he can tell he repeated something. And he says, "I didn't start the fire, okay?" Then a little bit more happens. It was already burning when I got there. And then at this point, he's getting punched, and he says, "This is what happened to my hands when I was trying to put out the fire. Look at your hands." So he's trying to say to Michael, like, your hands look the same as mine. I was trying to put it out. And this is the point at which like she's like, oh shit, like like she's convinced. And so then that's where she's like, she goes, stop.
So I called it.
Yeah.
He burned his hand trying to put the fire.
Yep.
Nice.
All right.
In this next section of episode, Sun tries to explain to everyone that Jin did not burn the raft. Then Locke comes and makes his speech about the others potentially being the ones that did it. Then Jin and Sun end up back in the caves. Jin is packing his stuff and ignoring Sun. She confesses in English that she was about to leave him, and she asks if they can start over. Jin then flashes back to when he goes and visits his dad, who is in fact alive, and basically his dad convinces him that when they get to Los Angeles, Jin and Sun should just walk away and start over. And then we come out of that flashback, and Jin says that it's too late. And it's very sad and emotional, and then that's when it goes to commercial.
My eyes are just watering because I'm tired. It made me feel a lot of things. Like, who's taking care of their dog?
It's the decorator, actually. If you remember,
I was trying to remember if she had her watch the dog or not.
yeah, she asked her. She's like, "When I'm gone, can you take care of my dog?" Drew, you were pretty shocked that the dad was alive, right?
His dad was real chill about it.
What'd you say?
His dad seemed real chill about the whole situation.
He's like, "Oh no, I get it."
I get it.
He has 5 other children who pretend he doesn't exist.
Well, so now you know that Jin's plan was that they were going to go to Los Angeles and then walk away, start over. So I have a couple of things that I want to ask you guys' thoughts on. If that was his plan to start over, but now he's saying it's too late, obviously the big change is that he now knows that she secretly learned English. What about that has now made him feel like it's too late?
It's probably some hypocritical bullshit, like, I've been lying to her this whole time, but she's gonna lie to me, that's not okay.
Yeah, because I guess if he doesn't want to tell her about her dad, then it's like he has to live with the fact that she just doesn't trust him. Like he can't repair his image without damaging her dad's image.
Right.
Well, that, and he's been lying about his dad,
Mm-hmm.
so it's gonna make him look like a piece of shit.
So in a way, he's been hiding things about her dad and things about his dad. But yeah, that's interesting to think about, though. Now that you said that, it's like, I don't know that if they had started over in America, that he would have revealed that about his dad. I think the idea is just, or even about her dad. I think maybe what his dad's suggesting, you go to America, you get away from all this, you don't worry about it. Like, you don't have to fucking explain, like, okay, this is what. But again, now they're on this island, they are away from her dad. He's saying it's too late.
Well, he probably thinks that she's fucking around on him with the English speakers.
Yeah.
He's just running away wounded, that's all he's doing. He's not asking any questions, he's just making assumptions and letting it run his decisions.
Almost like that's what everyone's doing this week.
Well, so now let me go back to my second thing from that scene, which was slightly before that. She's begging him not to leave. He starts walking away. She confesses that she was about to leave him in English. Yeah. That part she says in English. That's what gets him to stop. And then after that, she switches back to Korean and says, "I want to start over. Can we just go back to the beginning?" So the thing that I'm asking is, any thoughts on the significance of that part being in English?
My assumption would be something along the lines that she recognizes she can never tell him the truth.
And yet, on some level, he seems to have understood it. I mean, it's not clear if he understood exactly, but clearly something that was being communicated there landed with him enough that he stopped and finally responded to her.
He recognizes she's dropped something really big on him.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
Or he knows English. He's hiding it.
Or you know what?
Or he knows English and
We
he's
find that
hiding
out in season 4.
That's actually my uncle's theory. But my uncle has been theorizing this entire time that Jen secretly speaks English, and I thought that this episode would dispel that for him. And then it quickly became clear as we were recording that wasn't true. So I had to keep like pretending oh yeah, maybe he does speak English. And then I realized, no wait, we got to the scene where
There's a very clear scene where he does.
Yeah, there's be no reason for the show to depict his point of view as not understanding them, and then reveal that he actually speaks English, unless that would be shitty storytelling.
Yeah, that's the shit.
He selectively understands.
he was just imagining what it would be like to not understand.
He's in a remedial class. He's just learned basic verbs.
He
It's like, slow down, too many accents.
He only recognizes taglines from his favorite Korean shows about America.
He understands what Hurley says because he's seen him on TV before, but other than that.
That's the big Hurley reveal. He's been a huge fan of his this whole time. He just couldn't say anything.
He's the star of a Korean soap opera. He lives in Korea. That's actually why he was traveling back to America.
That's why he would have been too embarrassed to pee on him. He's like, I'm not going to do that.
Hurley.
That's why he offered him all those urchins.
I saw you on
He's a
TV
super
that day
fan.
beating the shit out of the head of the Department of Energy or whatever.
Environmental something. But no, okay, but yeah, getting back to her. So I mean, the thing I said on the podcast about my thoughts on why that part's in English is because it's just too painful to say in the native language and to have him understand verbatim what it is. But on an emotional level, she is communicating that deeper feeling, and he is picking up on that. But watching it this time, just a week later, I kind of had another take on it that is almost the opposite, but I mean, they could both still be true. I kind of like this too, but she's confessing that truth, and she's doing it in the full honesty by doing it in English. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
haven't had time to figure out how to
Well,
articulate this.
the way I looked at it was she was getting it off her chest without actually getting it off her chest.
Well, that's kind of the
Same
first
thing.
thing I was saying.
Yeah.
Now this other interpretation of it is that I'm trying to communicate is like, okay, this is me, like this is the deal, this is the truth. And so not only is she telling the truth by saying what she was gonna do, she's telling the truth by showing him. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I could have articulated this better if it had occurred to me before 5 minutes ago.
It's the first time she speaks to him in English.
It's pure
As opposed to
authenticity.
speaking to other people.
Yeah, it's pure authenticity. It's pure sincerity in a way that she hasn't communicated with him in a long time. If that makes sense.
And it probably felt like a bitch slap to him. Secondary bitch slap.
But okay, so there's one more thing I want to ask before we finish. Locke's speech.
Love a good Locke popping in, saying his piece and walking away.
I'm really mad Julia isn't here because that's like the best Locke has ever looked doing something and like the most right he's looked about something.
Except for saving Wolf and
I want to hear what
she did acknowledge.
Yeah, I want to hear her argument for why it was bad.
I mean, he throws out that it could have been these other people, like these people that Ethan was supposedly with, or that Rousseau says are there.
Again, Locke with the logical win.
Yeah. So you think he's right?
I think he's probably right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Spins
Drew,
all-
do you think
yeah.
he's kind of?
Well, if I'm going to dig my heels in on my original opinion, I guess it's very convenient. He blames people that we've never seen, that no one actually knows.
I was wondering if at least one of you would be like, well, maybe he did burn the raft, because I mean he asked that question. Why would any of us do this? And we've kind of already talked about how Locke might actually have a motive to do it. I can't tell if you're processing it. Or
No, I'm just thinking about how now he's starting to play mind games with him.
Locke's playing against everybody else.
Started.
Well, I mean, clearly playing mind games with him if that's the case. I feel like you're trying to take up the slack for Julia not being here.
I've always tried to remain balanced.
I think you had good reason if he did it.
Say that again.
It was structurally unsound and they needed to start over.
I think he had good reason if he did it.
If he did it, okay.
And so now the remainder of this group discussion takes place after we have finished the episode. And obviously, what is revealed in that last bit is that Walt set the raft on fire.
Oh, 2 for 2.
Yeah, but you went to Jin and then you went to Locke. But at no point after the initial time you said it did you bring Walt back up.
It was for the sake of argument. I realized that he probably didn't want to leave the island. He probably wasn't excited about going to New York. He wasn't happy just being a kid on an island with a dog.
Nice.
And it occurred to me during that little heartfelt session that they had there in the cave that as soon as Locke figures out that boy has something special going on, he's going to try and weaponize it.
You say this as someone that thinks Locke can do no wrong, which I'm assuming means that you think that that's the right thing to do.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I do.
He's building his own little X-Men.
I say
You gotta have
weaponize
a
it. I
Walt
mean,
guy to run the thing.
let's say utilize it.
Do you think he hasn't already figured that out?
Well, he's probably noticed it. He's probably not found out a application for it just yet.
Because in the Michael Walt episode at the beginning, when Michael confronts him about the knives thing, like Locke's saying, like, maybe you haven't spent enough time with him yet to see it, but he's different.
Yeah.
Michael's like, what did you say?
But I mean, that's not, unless you just take the kid and kidnap him, you can't just be like, take these things and make them happen.
Yeah.
He's got to ease into it, like any good villain.
Imagine this hatch open.
Imagine us inside there. Turn into some monkey's paw shit real quick.
And we're led to believe here that Jin's going to be the 4th member of the boat now, right?
I think
Or not.
I know that's a reason.
He'll be the third one tomorrow. So
I'm just saying that wasn't explicitly said, but I mean, that's a good question. Is if Michael inferred that from what Like you seem to have inferred that that's
If only because at the very beginning they're like, oh, yeah, one more seat left.
yeah. Who else would you like to see go?
They'd never come back.
I feel like there are a couple of obvious answers for that.
I feel like if you're gonna say Shannon, she seems to be pretty on Team Stay right now. I feel like this is the first episode where people are really making the case of, oh, I maybe don't want to leave the island, like explicitly. Like I feel like that's been in some characters, but it's the first time I think we're really hearing.
Well, surely you don't think that Shannon and Saeed, given the opportunity, wouldn't want to leave. It's like, no, we can only be together here. And
Saeed may want to be with her, but I don't think he wants to be with her on a boat.
She knows her not.
Or if he does,
She's surely been on a lot of boats.
Least favorite characters.
I mean, Locke's still my favorite.
Least favorite.
Least favorite? I guess Michael, maybe?
Ooh, that's
A little bit of
because of how he.
little
He's
headstrong
so
at
good
times.
building boats.
What?
He's so good at building boats.
Because of the way
Need
that
that done in the break between 2 episodes.
Just a very headstrong guy in general.
Okay, that was actually something I did have in my notes that I forgot to mention. Because yeah, like he's just assuming that Jin did this, and he's perfectly fine beating the shit out of him for it. Along those lines, what did you guys think? Like, it makes sense that that's very Sawyer to do what he did. But when Jack's trying to stop this from happening, it's Saeed that comes up. Is like, he's right. It's between them. Like, did you agree with him in that moment?
I just didn't really think about it at the moment. In my mind, it was just a piece of dialogue to let it go on.
Yeah.
That could be literally the writers going like, okay, who could we have talk to Jack who would actually listen to him, because he's not wouldn't listen to Kate. That might be the only one. I don't think would have stopped her.
That is a good point. I think of all the people, Jack would probably only listen to Saeed.
But I just don't love explaining stuff that way.
So why do you think he said it then?
I literally have never thought about it before this past week.
I think it's a reflection of the other episode too, because I think he's involved. He's in that fight too, and he's trying to stop it. And here he's
right.
But I can't.
And that was what I was about to say. It's interesting because he obviously broke up that fight, and not only did he handcuff Jin to the thing, but he made it his business to. Because Michael calls him sheriff later. So the point is that in the first time around, Saeed interjects himself in that situation, tries to resolve it. In this one, he does not.
He's too busy trying to hook up.
Yeah. Well, and but that in and of itself, as I'm saying, that could be an answer that you could have. It's like, okay, well, this keeps happening. Let them work it out. I mean, because when he says it, he has no way of knowing that Jin's not going to fight back. Because at that point, it's barely started. I think Michael hit him maybe once. So maybe he's just like, all right, fuck it. Like, this time it's fair. Like, Jin's not blindsiding Michael, and Michael's not blindsiding him. Like, let them fucking hash this out. I don't know. Again, haven't really thought about it for this week, but I feel like there's potentially a good answer there. You said least favorite Michael. Okay.
Locke favorite. Sawyer least favorite.
Did something happen in this episode specifically that I don't remember if it was your least favorite last week? Was he? It was his episode.
Probably.
But in this episode, I guess you didn't like him ambushing Jin.
He was in the episode. That's all I need.
It's
all I need.
It's funny how Locke, you have this irrational love for him. And Sawyer, it's like it makes sense to like Locke for certain reasons, and it makes sense to dislike Sawyer for a lot of reasons. But I feel like you're heavily committed to both of those.
Commit to the bit. Most favorite, Jin's dad, least favorite, Sunset. Yeah, I feel kind of bad because I actually drive a Pike automotive car, and maybe I should get rid of it. They have a terrible safety rating.
So from now on, when I ask this question, it's whoever wants to answer it first can answer it first. Whoever has a guess can answer it first. Who do you think next week?
Hurley.
I'm gonna keep saying it till it happens.
Hey, he was on the TV screen in that apartment. He's due for his.
He's also in the episode, so that's a good guess.
Yeah.
Hurley.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you the episode title. If it changes anything, let me know. It's called Numbers.
Yeah, That's not one that could really go to. I will say the
Well,
other.
but I've been surprised sometimes when I've said titles that and I didn't think would change anything. People have been like, "Oh, well, I think this now."
The other character who hasn't had one right is Shannon, who was also in this episode a lot. So if you want to reconsider for a second.
Numbers. It's going to be Hurley and he's going to win the lottery.
Yeah. I think maybe that's why he's on the TV.
Could be.
There you go.
Could be.
Could fit.
I don't
I
know.
feel like you're
I'm
trying to come up with a guess, and
I'm trying to think of everyone's backstories we've seen so far and be like, do any of those tie into numbers in any way? I know we haven't had Saeed's second flashback, if we get one yet.
I was just about to say.
But I don't know where numbers would play into that.
Well, if you remember the papers that he was having Shannon try and help translate, she was like, "You didn't say anything about math," and he's like, "Let me worry about the equations."
That's true. I'll differentiate. I'll say Saeed.
There you go. It's actually about Locke calculating how to get open that.
Yeah, he finds a little dial, and he just has to open it like a safe cracker.
It's the flashback for Locke again. He's crunching numbers
Yeah.
in his job.
Like a little calculator. Yeah. That is everything that we have for this week. I hope you all can come back for next week, and I hope you all can come back for next week. I would now like to give a special thank you to the currently active donors. These include candidate number 90, Ben Ward, candidate number 108, Jeffrey Winslow, candidate number 69, Brian Phillips, candidate number 32, Chuck Boyd, and candidate number 341, Hans. If you too would like to become a candidate, you can do so for as little as $1. One-time or recurring donations can be set up on Ko-fi.com/candlepun or Patreon.com/candlepun. A donation of any amount will get you credited in this podcast and added to the candidate wall, which will be displayed in all video versions of the episodes of this podcast from that point forward, even once you're no longer donating. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the multiple people that have donated equipment and resources that are used in the production of this podcast. These include Mary Mullins, Brandon Huth, Charles Huth, William McMahon, and Charlene McMahon. Until next time, namaste and good luck.
회장님이 굉장히 섭섭해 하시는데요.
To like this video, click the thumbs up. Or, if there has been an incursion by the hostiles, click the thumbs down. To leave feedback, enter a comment below. To be notified when more videos arrive, click the circle and then select the notification bell. To view previous content from this channel, click either of the two boxes.